Let me just check it. Yeah. This is Lysha Holmes, and I'm your host on the Recruiters Recruitment Podcast. And we are going truly global today because I'm actually returning the favor. If you have been following me on LinkedIn, you'll know that I'm often a guest on other people's shows. And I had the absolute privilege of doing this particular podcast experts show. We think it was around 2021. And
Yes.
an absolute joy and pleasure. And there was a lot more noise and lots of special effects going on, whereas mine's just kind of two voices. But there you go. We don't mind. We're going to raw dog it, aren't we? This is Adam Posner, and he is the founder of NHP Talent and fellow podcast host of the podcast. Welcome to you today, Adam. How are you?
Thank you. I stopped doing the sound effects. I just stopped doing them. I
Did you? I
no,
love
we don't mess around with sound effects, and we can,
Were
I
you as
am
bad as Joel Lalgee? Because his was like, it was just constant noise effect when I did his 2 years ago.
I stopped doing that. It was fun when I got the toys. You could still do all those things, but no,
Yeah.
we keep it. Well, Lysha, thank you so much for having me on. I like being on the other side of the mic. Thank you for having me on.
You're very welcome. And obviously, we are doing this virtually, quite sadly, because I would love to be in real life with you over there in New York. And we've just been talking before I press record of all the places I'm going to come to in 2026. So if you're listening to this and you are over on Adam's side of the pond, make sure you're commenting and sharing this. So there'll
Yes.
be lots of people actually who maybe weren't girl fanning you like I was, or boy fanning you, which way around it is. From when it was probably COVID time that I first started following you, and I just loved everything that you shared. You seem a really
Thank you.
open, honest person, but give us an introduction as to who you are and what you actually do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much. Where'd that music come from?
I
Jeez.
don't know. I can't hear
That,
anything.
That's on my end. I hit the space bar there and I played my music. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me. My name is Adam Posner. I'm the founder of NHP Talent Group. We're a boutique staffing firm here in New York, focusing on all things marketing, media, and ad tech. I'm also the host of the podcast, Top Global Career Podcast, and I've been doing that for about 6 years. I've had an incredible selection and range of guests, entrepreneurs, executive folks from the world of marketing, health, wellness, careers, everything. And what I do there is I unpack their life story told through the lens of their career, and I pull out the wisdoms within that. Prior to all this fun world of recruiting, I spent 15 years working in marketing, media, and advertising here in New York. I was an agency guy, account management, strategy, worked at different agencies, and I also worked client side at American Express and Sirius
Wow.
XM satellite radio. I'm not sure if your folks are familiar with their satellite radio, home of the great Howard Stern. Shock jock here in the US. I was there for about 5 years, and here I am.
Very cool. So you flipped from in-house to agency, quite literally in the
I,
marketing world.
I
Wow.
flipped and I went back and it gives you a very unique perspective. And now I recruit for the last 10 years. I recruit for those roles that I either worked in or worked with. And I think that has always been my competitive
Mm.
advantage because when I talk
Yeah.
to candidates, I could see through their BS. I don't know if I could
Yeah.
curse here. I could see through their BS. I could relate with hiring managers because I've been in their shoes before.
Yeah.
And so I didn't need to learn that. But when I became a recruiter, I needed to learn how to be a recruiter because people think they could be a recruiter, right? They think they could come in,
Mm.
right? They could come into our industry and be like, it's kind of like real estate. I sold a house once. You know what? I'm going to become a real estate agent. No, you have no idea.
Absolutely.
You have no idea.
It's really interesting. And actually, I think that given how competitive the market is on both sides of the pond for us, that we were talking about that off camera, it's a really challenging market. And I can't see that changing anytime soon. I think that all the external factors mean that you have to really hone in on what you're good at. I think so many recruitment founders, which is largely my audience, miss a trick when it comes to thinking about hiring people from their industry
Hmm.
because you can benchmark, you understand it. I mean, you are allowed to curse. It's me. But it's fine if you want to be polite. I don't mind. You
No,
never know
I'm
who's
not.
listening. Um,
It's
you
harder for me
know,
not to curse than to
yeah.
curse.
It's terrible. When I'm around my nieces and nephews, my sisters always look at me like, "Please don't swear, leash." So it's terrible. I think it's much easier to cut through the bullshit if you have actually done that job because you understand the lingo. So I think it's probably definitely giving you a distinct advantage, but also means that you presumably have got a network of people that you can utilize. So it's just there's a win-win scenario going on.
It's so interesting too. You could teach someone to be a recruiter, but you can't teach them. The harder part is teaching them the industry. Like
Mm,
if I tried to, and I thought about this during the downturn economy, I'm like, all right, do I shift into healthcare recruiting? Do I shift into construction recruiting? And I thought
yeah.
about the level of effort it's going to take me to understand that industry. And by the time I get it and build a reputation in there, my market's going to
Yep.
turn around.
It
So I
is.
invested the time back into my network and digging into that.
Mm.
I couldn't even fathom the idea. I was talking to a buddy and he's like, all right, well, you want to get into like, you need to understand nuances and vertical. And the same thing with construction too. And I'm like, you know what? I'm
Yeah.
going to stay the course.
I think that's really interesting because probably around the time that I started chatting to you on LinkedIn and stuff, I was obviously having an absolute nightmare in Rectorac. No one was hiring experienced VNers in the COVID days because they were going, right, we're just going to see how we do. Everybody had gone remote. No one wanted to really move jobs, which I totally understood. And I had so many well-meaning clients saying,
Mm.
maybe you should go and do tech, go and do AI, go and do robotics, go and do this, go and do these markets, go and do life sciences. And I'm same thought process, like, but I've got 20 odd years experience
Yeah. No.
being a recruiter, running a recruitment business, managing a recruitment team. I'm then going to have to understand what this software does or what this life sciences technology means. I'm not doing it.
I don't have like to put in the time to do that. It's almost diminishing returns. I mean, like unless your market goes to complete zero,
Yeah, agreed.
unless your market dissolves, unless you have no choice
Yep.
but to pivot. And we've been in this industry enough. And I mean, and I've 10 years for me at this point, I've been through two down cycles.
Hmm.
You learn a lot.
You do.
You learn how to find other opportunities. And for me, that other opportunity was thankfully doubling down on the podcast.
Mm.
And I've been able to monetize that by niching down into HR and TA tech, where I'm really deepening my understanding of the industry, speaking to leaders, founders, executives. I'm road testing all the new technology that's out there. And we we're talking about off camera how I'm taking that new
Mhm.
technology and implementing it into my workflow, into my tech stack.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go there now because you did mention, you said, was it 5 times better results?
5x.
5x. So
And when I say results, I mean I've been able to, the time it used to take me to full cycle recruit one opening, I could do five in the same amount of time.
goodness
Now
me.
I cannot, what I cannot do is 5x the candidate calls. I mean, the time, right? I still have to take the time to engage each candidate on a phone call and get to know them and
Good.
properly screen them. But
Okay.
the other functions, the sourcing, the digital
Hmm.
screening, going through and that process and the outreach, that is a part of being able to scale. And I talk about that with AI and tech all the time. Use the technology as a tool, not a
Oh,
crutch. I use the
absolutely.
technology to
Mhm.
scale the outsourcing, the sourcing, the outsourcing, the screening, all that kind of pre stuff. It's outreach. It's all automated.
So are you
And I
are
could
you
run
using an
multiple campaigns.
outsourcer with actual a person, say in South Africa, or are you actually using a bot? Are you using outreach?
No, no,
What are you?
it's all just it's all CRM tools. But I'm still looking at
Oh,
every resume before we hit the send on that. Now, there's folks that use the tools and they'll kind of use it as a spray and pray and then kind of filter it down a little bit. I don't reach out to somebody unless I think they're qualified on paper.
okay.
That's a waste of time, right? Like literally,
Good.
if I go through one of my tools, I could literally just hit an autopilot button. But there's folks in there who are not qualified,
Mm,
right? There's some that slip through the cracks. It's not perfect, but the manual sourcing days are over.
of
The
course they are.
manual sort, unless we're talking executive search, where it's really
Hmm.
that one-on-one relationship. We're talking like everyday recruiting for the masses. We're talking
Yeah.
about 80% of recruiting out there,
Yeah, yeah.
not executive search, right?
Probably
Like
possibly
the,
even more.
yeah, the tools are incredible. And then there's other elements of it too. And we're talking about the note taking.
Yep.
The bots that I have, and we just kicked Newt out. Newt is a
Yeah.
fantastic product that
Sorry.
I've been road testing there.
Yep.
It records audio and video conversations. It distills down the key takeaway points. It uses AI and LLM to distill it, where I don't have to sit here and take notes. Up
No.
a year ago, I was sitting there taking books and books of notes on calls with candidates.
Right.
Now I could pay direct attention to the conversation. I could really listen in instead of thinking about the notes because
Yep.
all that's going to be right there for me. And then with these tools, I could take individual clips and send it to the hiring manager and say, you don't have to take my word for it. Here's what the candidate
Here's
said
what the candidate
exactly
said.
during this conversation.
Mm.
And
It's really
now that hiring
interesting.
manager doesn't have to go back and and replay that conversation with the candidate.
Mm.
They
Because
could
you've already
spend
had
time.
that conversation, haven't you?
Right. So you're finding efficiencies through the process there to make more human time. So how do you utilize the tech to create more human time? And that's what I preach. Don't use it for everything. Don't be lazy.
I
Like
love this,
use it to
Adam.
give yourself more time to talk to humans. That's the right way to do it.
It's the absolute unicorn quote there because that if I could summarize the last 2 seasons, I would say 70% of my conversations have been around this whole, how do we ensure we're future-proofing ourselves as
Hmm.
recruiters and recruitment leaders of, running businesses if you've got employees. And everything you've just said there summarizes what I've had hundreds of conversations about, because
Distill it.
why wouldn't you do that? Why, we are
Why wouldn't
recording
you?
this now. We've got a note taker that's going to summarize, stick it on all the podcast
Yeah.
channels. Lilia will put a few tweaks on it, make sure it sounds like us and it's our tone, but not actually do the grunt work. You don't need to anymore.
I
But
mean,
the actual conversations we're having now, this is what we're
those are
talking
real.
about. It's the
Yeah,
real
and
life
I
stuff.
and don't even get me started with the tech I've used to, like, 6 years, 6.5 years that I've had the podcast. When I started, everything was manual. I had a separate audio editor, a separate video editor. I had a producer doing research on the shows. I have fine-tuned the prompts on ChatGPT, and everyone, best $20 you'll spend is
Yeah.
ChatGPT Pro. The best
Agreed.
$20 you'll spend. I've been able to fine-tune and test prompts where I do my guest research, and it intakes their last 5 podcast episodes, their bio, their notes, everything about them, and I have prompts that give me unique flow and questions. Now, when I do my podcast, I don't read, just like we're having a conversation here, I don't read verbatim those questions, but what it does is it gives me a logical flow to get through with that guest based on the research. That has saved me time. The tools I use for social media clips, for summaries, for show notes, for publishing. My God, how fast technology has changed the game with podcasting. I now have one person on my team who
Wow.
does all my audio and video editing. Him and I are a machine.
Yeah,
We
but yeah.
bang out shows and it's fantastic. And now that time that I spent on podcasting, I put back towards recruiting.
Which, and that's hence why you're getting the results that you absolutely are. So I want to pick your brains actually on your podcast, because
Yeah.
I've just said there that there's this eclectic cohort of people that you have the privilege, as I do, and I have
It is a
started.
privilege. It is a
It
privilege.
is, to me, this is my privilege day where I get to
Mm.
literally lift the lid on all these amazing people like yourself and go, right,
Uh,
give me your snippets, give me your wisdom.
uh,
So I can't possibly ask you to do that for a whole podcast.
yeah.
But what's really relevant right now within your industry that we as
Oh yeah.
recruitment leaders need to be thinking about? So if we think about things
Hmm.
like, talent shortages, the impact of AI and automation, what skills are going to remain skill short, what skills maybe are going to become redundant, because I think we're in a real
Hmm.
evolution now.
Yeah.
Where
100%.
where should we position ourselves as recruiters? Where, in terms of what should we be thinking about where we can future-proof ourselves to the actual employers out there?
Yeah. There's a lot of questions there. I want to kind of break them down into a few
Sure.
things. I think for
Thank you.
any recruiter out there, the first thing you need to do is future proof yourself. We just spoke about the technology that's out there. I say this from a position of experience. I say this from a position of interviewing, let's call it in the last 18 months, I would say 50 to 60 top C-suite executives, leaders, innovators, analysts in the HR and TA tech space. The technology out there is going to take away many functions of your role. So what
Mhm.
you need to do is 2 things. You need to embrace the technology, use it every single day, and become a champion advocate of the technology where you are now internally in your company, the one who knows how to use it,
Yep.
recommend it,
Yep.
and be that internal consultant on, because otherwise you're just going to be out on the street. You're going to be redundant. It's going to happen. Yes, there's a place for humans in recruiting. That's not going to go anywhere.
Nope.
But there's
Agree.
a lot of companies that are going to start utilizing the tech. And we're talking like, some of the lower level sourcers, maybe
Mhm.
scheduling, maybe the coordinators out there, but it's going to trickle down or up, however you
It's
look
not
at it.
AI that's going to replace you. It's a human using the AI that's going to replace you. That has been a
Yes,
bit of a
yes. I
headline.
mean, it is a headline, but you got to unpack that headline a little bit. So you need to be able to future proof yourself and
Okay.
embed yourself in the business. And that really comes down to embracing one of my favorite roles that has come up in the last few years is a function of HRBP. I don't know. I'm not sure if they have it over
Business
there
partner.
across the pond, right?
Yep.
HR business partners. And what that really means is embracing yourself to understand the business
Yep.
inside and out.
Yep.
You understand the financials of it. You understand the org structure of it. So you could be more of a consultant than just a paper pushing recruiter.
Recruiter.
And
Yep.
that's not even recruiting at a certain point, right? Recruiting is really going out and finding the talent there. So how do you utilize the tools? How do you make yourself invaluable? So that's one thing that I pick up from that. Companies are using it. It's some sectors are going to be faster than others.
Yep.
Some sectors are never going to take the tech or use the tech because they don't need it,
Yep.
or they're just a slower moving company with the process. But if you're averaging it out, It's going to happen. And I'd say in the next 5 years, you know, 60 to 70% of recruiters might be redundant if you don't pick that up. Now,
Yep.
on the flip side of that, the golden nugget that I have found, whenever I have a senior leader on the show, I get into hiring and I kind of set the question up like this. Listen, when someone gets to you in the process, in the interview process, we're assuming they have the experience, they have the hard skills, and you're really going to talk to them about those soft skills, right? You want to see if they're going to be a value add. I don't use culture fit. Everyone knows I hate the F word.
Me
I think
too.
it's ridiculous.
Me too.
Are they going to be a value add to your organization from a chemistry perspective? What are they going to add to it? What questions do you ask them? And
Okay.
we're talking C-suite leaders. And when I distill that down into one kind of nugget of truth, they want to know, how did you figure it out? FIO. How did you feel? Tell me an example of how you figured this out. Not how your team did it, how you figured it out.
Love
They
it.
want to hear thought process. They want to hear how your brain works. They want to hear how you articulate
Yep.
how you solved a problem.
Yep.
And now you transcend that back to candidates. If you could tee that up where like maybe you're putting a few breadcrumbs out there, like you want them to take the bait and ask you that question so you could deliver on it.
Yeah.
Right? So kind of reverse engineer the interview process a bit, because when you could hammer down on someone, hey, this is the problem, this is how we approached it, and this is how we figured it out. Now the flip side of that, I'm sorry, I'm ranting for a little bit here.
No, it's good. We're
The flip,
following you, Adam. We're following you.
the flip side of that, another big question that they ask, and this one had my head spinning a little bit. Tell me about a recent time that you failed. What they
Okay.
don't want to hear is, I failed because I tried too hard. That's a bullshit answer, right? But if you could have the self-awareness to say, listen, this was a hypothesis. We went out, we tested it, and we failed. And here is what we learned from that failure.
Absolutely.
How you frame that up there is a massive interview piece. So those are the two kind of big things from the last year or so that I've been hearing and distilling down for your audience.
I think that's really vital. I think I'm going to take those two. So, I mean, certainly on that figure it out thing, that for me is whether or not somebody is going to fit into a company's EVP.
Mm-hmm.
It's all around values and behaviors, because for me, the behavior is how you went about doing something, why you went about doing something, and what your actual process is. And so often people aren't able to articulate that, and that includes senior leaders, by the way. There's a lot of royal wheeze going on, as opposed to I did this, and this is
royal wheeze,
darling, royal wheeze. And then on the second point, I don't know whether you've ever heard of a podcast over here. There's a very famous author and broadcaster called Elizabeth Day. She's fabulous. And her podcast is called How to Fail. And she interviews A-list, probably Z-list in America, but A-list celebrities from over here. And she gets them to talk about their 3 most prominent life fails. And always what comes out of it is it's probably been their greatest growth. It's probably the moment just before they got really massively famous. And I'm a huge believer in people asking that. But actually, I'm going to flip it even further. I want candidates to be asking that in their interviews of the leaders and of the founders, because that's usually why they're in a period of pain. You know, we are here to solve pain points for our clients, right? As recruiters, it could be they can't hire the best talent. Maybe they can't retain the best talent. Maybe they're great at hiring, but not great at retaining or promoting or succession planning. So I think understanding where something hasn't worked is actually the biggest telltale sign to, first of all, authenticity, honesty, transparency, but how open-minded somebody is. Self-awareness.
Self-awareness is such an under talked about, underrated, like the ability to say, hey, I fucked up.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like, hey, like I'm not, we're all human. We make mistakes, but it's not about it's about the comeback, right? It's about, well, how did you recover from that? We all make mistakes. Greatest leaders make mistakes. And it tells a lot if you try to hide all your failures too. You should, and it's either the opposite of failure, it's opposite of when it's not fail. It's mediocrity, right? Like it's not, like you're challenging it, like you're challenging yourself, you're pushing yourself, you're trying new things.
Yeah.
Right. As long as you have more slashes in the win column at the end of the day, that's what's going to count.
Yeah. At the end of the day, if you are listening to this podcast, which generally you do because you want to improve yourself, you want to develop, you want to cherry pick some great advice from people that come on podcasts like this, whether it's myself or Adam or anyone else that you're listening to, you have got a growth mindset. That's a massive sweeping assumption, but I think people that take the time to listen to a podcast rather than stick an album or whatever, I think you want to learn and you want to get out your comfort zone. And if you want to get out your comfort zone, do you have the self-awareness to understand where your learning points are and what you need to do to
And
improve yourself?
it usually takes somebody to have a kind of a catastrophic professional situation
Yeah,
to hit that moment of a self-awareness epiphany. And I don't want to hit the Wayback
totally.
Machine too much, but just to mention it, my self-awareness epiphany was 10 years ago when I got fired. My last time I got fired, when I pivoted into recruiting, that was a moment when I really had to look in the mirror and say, what am I good at? What do I suck at? And when I stopped trying to be something I'm not professionally and personally and said, screw it, I'm gonna eat a big slice of humble pie and I'm gonna pivot into a new industry because whatever I'm doing for the last 15 years is just not working. There's
Love
been too many
that.
consecutive failures.
And the reality is, if we're being honest, and we were talking about this off camera, and we don't want to go down the political
Mm,
route, but we are in such a challenging market right now. I can't see that changing anytime soon, both economically, politically, geographically, wherever you're listening to this, that I think you have to understand that there's going to be challenges ahead. There's going to be situations where things aren't going to work out for you. You might find yourself listening to this because you've just been made redundant, or maybe your business has gone under, not
mm,
because you're shit at running a business, but because the cost of living has gone through the roof
right.
and you can't afford to pay your staff anymore and it's just back down to you. There's so many nuances. So I think it is that self-awareness. And I often think that sometimes the greatest if have you do you follow the Stoics? Do you know Ryan Holiday? You must listen to
Mm,
him. Amazing guy. I mean, he's just brilliant. He's got a brilliant podcast. He's brilliant on Insta and TikTok because he does little
mm,
shorts. So you don't even have
yeah.
to listen to a whole show. And I think the most important book anybody can read right now, I actually read it as we went into lockdown. Literally the first week of lockdown, I've got a business investor that I do a lot of startup recruitment businesses with, and he had just invested in one of mine literally on the day of
Huh,
lockdown. Still went ahead, and she's just done 5 years, but anyway. And I was like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Oh my God, no!" Like he's invested millions of pounds in all these companies,
yeah.
and everyone's being locked down. And he said, "But I would recommend this book to you, Leash, and it's a game changer. It's called The Obstacle Is the Way." Have you read it?
No, but
Okay,
I put on my list.
the
Ryan
obstacle.
Holiday.
So the whole premise of this book, right? Everyone, I need you to go on Audible or however you want to read it or whatever. The obstacle is the way, Ryan Holiday, and I'm not on any commission. And the whole premise of it is he takes examples of Stoics through time who have faced the most obscene challenges in life. We're talking like life and death and what they have done to overcome it. And actually, it's the very obstacle itself that has transformed their whole story and has created huge success for them and glory. And it's the most because it's actually written for lay people. It's not really written for necessarily those that have done degrees or whatever. It's literally anyone can read this book, right? It is literally a game changer book, and I read it in one day. It was literally the day of lockdown, and I went and sat in my lounger because I thought, well, I might as well, and I read it in one go. It's a game changer.
You did it. It's so interesting too. I've embraced two things that come out of that. I really truly believe that the comeback is greater than the setback. Always.
Yeah.
The comeback is greater than the setback. And you need to kind of own it
Mm.
and understand that. And this other concept that kind of hit me is this term lifequake, right?
Ooh.
Lifequake.
Oh my God, I've never
And
heard this before.
no, lifequake. When things hit you in life, personally, people that are
Mm.
close to you,
Yeah.
tragedy,
Yeah.
it's going to shake you to the core. And
Mm.
it's going to throw everything off. Like think about an earthquake, right? You have no idea. Right now, you could have an earthquake. Right now, things will be just coming and shaking, right?
Yeah.
You have no idea it's coming,
Mm.
but you don't see it in that moment. But I guarantee you, you're going to come out stronger in so many ways because you've never had to face those challenges. And you're going to have to dig in deep to your core of who you are, your values, your persona, and you get to decide in that moment, am I coming out better or am I going to let this thing tear me down and ruin everything that I built? And it's not until that life quake moment that you're challenged. Of course, we always have challenges. We have goals. We have carrots at the end of the stick,
Yeah.
long-term goals. But what happens when all that shit goes thrown out the window and some shitstorm comes and throws you for a loop? And you have to kind of embrace it. And you don't see it in the moment, and you're going through it. And everyone's going through shit. Everyone's going through something in that
Yeah.
moment.
I agree with you.
Uh, and you also learn during those times who are your real friends.
Oh, you do. You
Who are the people
do.
that stick with? Who are the people that stick with you? Who are the first? Who's the first person that's going to step up and say, "I am here,
Yeah.
regardless."
Yeah.
any time of day or night, whatever you need, I'm here for you.
Mm.
That's what a life quake is. And
It's
you know,
wow.
and you kind of go through it.
Wow. I mean, I can't remember the last time I actually properly got choked up in a podcast episode, let
Yeah.
me tell you. Because I felt that literally I'm a real empath that you're absolutely right. Everyone is going through something. And that's why I live by my only family rule from the day dot of my daughters being born was be kind. Because be kind
Mm.
covered everything. That means be kind to yourself, be kind to
Yep.
everyone that you meet,
I like that.
be kind to a bastard who doesn't let you park in
Kind
the
of
space you've
strangers.
seen, be kind to strangers, be kind to everybody. And I've had a few lifequake moments. The most famous one that I have talked about very publicly was the day that their father, who I'd been married to for 17 years, told me he was gay. I never saw that coming, let me tell you.
Not on your bingo card.
Not on my bingo card, not when we'd renewed our wedding vows about a year before. And it was literally, it could have destroyed me. But that was my greatest moment in life because I was
Jeez.
going through sobriety at the same time. I
Wow.
physically made a choice that day. I don't want to be the drunk mum. So that's when I decided that was it.
What a powerful moment at your lowest when you could have just went back to your crutch to drink or
I knew
whatever
I
your
couldn't.
vice was, right? And you said, no,
I know I
not today.
couldn't. I knew
Not
I
today.
couldn't. I knew I
This is a
couldn't.
real test. Today, the Lord, whoever your higher power, whatever the hell you fucking believe
Hashem.
in, Hashem, yes.
Hashem.
Right.
Hashem.
Says, you know
Mm,
what? Today, not today.
no.
Today I'm
No.
being
So
tested. Today I'm being tested. Good
but
for
it
you.
was for knowing I was going to go through extreme pain. And I always say this to any, I think I get the feeling you're a real empath, Adam, and I'm a real empath with my clients. I have clients who end up telling me all their shit that's going on. And I often say to them, ultimately, you've when you are faced with such whatever that disaster is, whether it's a personal or a professional, and sometimes both simultaneously, through that obstacle, bringing it back to that, what will come through that if you can push through and you have the right people around you. What you said there, that's what got me emotional because I think that you don't need that many people in life, but you know the ones that are there for you. Come rain or shine.
Yeah,
They are
quality over
not
quantity.
non-judgmental. They're non-judgmental. They will support you. They will cheerlead you. They won't blow smoke up your ass.
No, they're the radical candor, right?
They,
And then you want people that are gonna give you the real deal. And those are the best friends of the world. The ones that
yeah,
call out your bullshit, right? I got a couple of
yeah.
those, and we do it to each other. We stick with each other. We're like, no, 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 no.
No.
I see through that, But I want to share something that was bestowed to me. Two things. One, very important. Feedback is a gift, right? If someone's giving you feedback, it means they care, especially unsolicited feedback. And
Mm,
it means I care enough to tell you something because I see it that you're doing something right, you're doing something wrong, you could fix
mm,
something because I care. If I
mm,
didn't give a shit, I wouldn't waste my time telling you about
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
The other concept that I've really embraced, and this was passed down to me by one of my recruitment mentors, Joe Mullings, a tremendous operator here in the United States in med tech, this concept of emotional agility, where if I have a friend, a family member going through something, I I'm not going to come down to exactly their level because all I'm
Mm,
doing there is sympathizing with them. I'm not adding any value. But if I could stay a little bit above them, where I could see my head above the clouds and give them
okay.
sage advice, where I could still relate to them and be there emotionally for them, you,
Mm,
agility. I need to have a little bit of room between where they're at and where I'm at, and not come all the way down. I think too many people in situations come and meet people where they're at. I think you have to be a little bit above so you could see a different
yeah.
perspective and give them sage advice.
Yeah.
So whenever we
But
talk
otherwise
about
you're in the reeds with them. I'm seeing the analogy. If you're listening rather than
right.
watching, I think Adam's kind of lowering his hands at the same level. So what you're saying is it's creating an objectivity, which if you
Mhm.
are stuck in the reeds, you do not have because it's too emotional.
It's too emotional. And there's moments for that. There's moments when
Mm,
you need to be one on one with them at that level. But
yeah.
then you need the agility to know when to
Mm.
rise up a little bit.
Can I
Listen,
add one thing to what you just said
please, it's
there?
your
I'm going to
show.
add one thing that
Your
I've learned.
show.
I've learned. I know, but
My
I
show.
don't know. You're the expert here. The
Definitely
one
not.
thing I would add, and I did go through during COVID, I and my team were all invested in mental health first aid.
Good.
We've all got certification, and it's all around non-judgmental listening,
Oh,
understanding the triggers of when you need to get
right.
external people involved. But one of the things it really taught us is that actually in that situation, and we are, whether it's a business conversation you're having, whether it's a friend, whether it's family member, whether it's yourself, no, that doesn't
Mm,
work. Is to start off that scenario that you've just said there, Are you looking for me to give you advice, or did you just want somebody to listen? Did you just
Hmm.
want somebody to rant to? And I often find this with I'm not saying I am an alpha female, but I'm very strong and, very confident in my own mindset. But especially if it's somebody who is a peer to you in terms of
Right.
mindset. And I've found that to be a game changer because actually, if you actually ask that before they lean on you or come to you as that agile,
Mm.
emotionally intelligent person,
I
sometimes
like
they
that.
don't actually want advice or feedback. What they
Just want you to
actually want
listen.
is just to get it off their chest and they'll feel so much better.
It's an interesting reframe.
I
And it's
know.
interesting how you set that question up. Are you looking for me to just listen and be here for you,
Mm,
or do you want me to respond?
yeah.
And you're kind of
She,
setting that up. You're setting that up before I could. So you're right. Some people just want an ear, and
mm,
listening.
mm.
Active listening, active paying attention is much more difficult than active talking.
It really is. And not engaging in a conversation where it's like, you want to participate, you want to give your advocacy, or whether it's give your, like I've just been doing with you, give examples of something it shows I relate, but equally I'm actively listening and you're listening for those triggers. I would actually encourage, and I'm on no commission for this, but if anyone in the UK, contact Kate Hayward, who works through the Mental Health and Recruitment Partnership. Get that certification. It's a commitment of about 5 hours, but it
It's
is a
worth it.
game changer when it comes to active listening. And actually, it makes you a bloody brilliant recruiter, let me tell you. Really, the conversations I've had with my business, with clients, with actual business owners, because of that mental health first aid training, has been a
And
different level of consultation.
I love that, and I think that if you're that person for people, to have the
Mm,
professional training and that skill set is
mm,
invaluable. I want to double back to the active listening part because let's
mm.
let's kind of
What'd you
bring it full
say?
start.
Sorry, it's a joke.
What? What are you talking about? When I started my podcast, February 2019, and then fast forward, I was about 25 episodes in, midpoint 2019. Somebody who I respect and admire said to me, can I give you some feedback? I've been listening to a few of your podcasts. I'm like, of course, like
Mm.
you're you. I value everything you say. And he said to me, I could hear you thinking. I could
Wow.
hear you thinking in your podcast about the next question. You're not listening. You're not fucking listening to what the guest is saying. I was such a newbie at podcasting and I had all questions out. I need to get through this. I need to get to the next one. And I paused and I said, wow. And that
Mm,
was a game changer for me because what it did was it enabled me to focus on the conversation. I still had my crutch of my notes in front of me early on, but I was able to listen to a guest and be able to take a right turn, a left turn, because that's where the treasures are
I
when you
know.
start to go down those rabbit holes. And I built that over the last 6 years where I'm trying to ask different questions, and it's made me a sharper podcaster. Where one of the things I'm most proud of, and I don't talk about it because I'm not like a pat on the back kind of guy, but there's nothing better when you finish a podcast and the guest says to you, wow, that was a fantastic conversation. Thank you. You're really good at what you do.
Mm,
And I found that compliment to me over the last couple of years has been so rewarding because I finally, at
mm.
46 years old, found something. I'm a good recruiter. I'm not the
I
best
know.
recruiter out there, but I'm a fucking really good podcast host. And I
Yeah,
take pride in that and I
I
work on
know.
that and I value that. And
It means
it took me
everything to get
46
that.
years to find something I'm freaking good at. I can't sing. I can't dance. Don't even try to get me to play an instrument. Forget that. But I found something I could do and I've doubled down on that. And
Good for
it's
you.
it's just opened things up.
Good for you. Do you know what? Bravo to that individual for being candid and caring. And well done to you for taking that feedback on board. But actually, I bet it's made you a better partner. I bet it's made you a better
Yeah, of
friend. I bet it's made you a
course.
better recruiter because I think it's actually more common than not to be like that. I listen to so many podcasts. I don't know about you. And
Uh, I don't.
you can hear you can hear the people that have got that list of questions and it's so boring.
It's so boring. If you don't have your audience, you have
Sorry.
nothing. If you're not engaging your audience with an insightful
Uh,
conversation, who the fuck's going to listen to you? Nobody.
Look at where we've gone today.
Yeah, I mean,
LIFEQUAKE.
you're not even going down your, and then you get to make cool merch. You get to
I
make cool
know.
merch. You get to make
Oh
cool
my
merch.
God, I want
I'm
one. I
on,
know.
if
We,
internet next, I'll be over there
we,
next summer. I'll be back at RecFest in 2026.
oh,
I'm gonna have fresh merch. 2026
Okay.
tour merch, you will get it. Don't worry.
Well, I'm coming over to America, aren't I? We
We're
actually
out of
we
shirts.
we had loads of merch, and in fact, I've got bottles, I've got mugs, I've got
Oh, I got
that's what you
merch,
call them, teacups. I've
stickers.
got jumpers, but it's very hot here in the UK today, believe it or not. I'm actually in a
Yikes.
sundress. And B, I just forget to wear it. I don't know. Maybe I should do more on the. I'm going to take a leaf out of your book, Adam. You've been amazing. So I'm going to ask you, how's it
Likewise.
been? How's it been being on my show?
It's fun, and I love conversations like this. So I will give you an example of what separates a good podcast from a bad podcast. The fact that we're able to have a conversation here, it comes down to preparation. You reviewed my background beforehand, you know who I am, and it enables you to have an open conversation and go down these rabbit holes. It also
Yeah,
helps that I'm not, again, I'm just stating a fact that I'm an experienced podcaster where I know I want to give you
yeah.
a good, engaging experience. I was on a show 3 years ago. I'm not going to name the show.
No.
I come on to the show as a guest, and the host goes, "Okay, tell me your story." Which a little bit of feedback here. I don't usually ask that question to guests. I usually tee it up in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
to do that. But the guest and I'm telling my story, and I'm doing a much more elaborate version of my career story. And I talk about the part where, like, the quintessential part of my story. 10 years ago, when Gary Vaynerchuk fired me, everyone knows this part of my story.
Yeah,
If you follow me,
absolutely.
and this
Yeah.
host goes, "Wait a minute, you worked for Gary V? He
Oh
fired you?"
no.
And I was like, I covered my microphone like this. Anyone who's listening, cover my microphone. I'm like, are you serious, dude? Did you not read my bio? Did you not read one thing? Like,
Yeah, it's
do a
rude.
little bit of prep. It was
I
it was
know.
disrespectful to the audience. It was disrespectful to me because
Yeah,
it triggered that reaction. I couldn't hide it on the conversation. I was like, what the
no.
fuck, bro?
I know. It takes 5 minutes, doesn't it? No, I do
Read
my
my LinkedIn profile.
I do the intro to you at the end. So when you
Yes,
guys have all finished, I stay on the Zoom and then I do the little thing that goes at the front, you see, because then I can do the whole this is what we're going to talk about today. But
I tried that.
I knew
I'm
you were a
lazy.
pro, and I'm so happy that I got you on. And you have been so I mean, you were very inspiring to me when I was really going for it with trying to get my podcast on the map, if you like. And in the UK, I am regarded as one of the stalwarts that stuck with it.
Yeah,
Not many podcasts stick with it.
it's pod fade. If you could get past 8, you're a winner. And
Yeah.
consistency, it compounds.
Yeah.
Consistency compounds. So kudos to you.
Yeah. Well, this is you are going to probably be one of the last ones of season 5. So we'll have
Oh
got
yeah.
nearly 300 episodes. And
Yes.
we've
Kudos to
already
you. 300. Oof.
I know we've already got season 6 booked in, and we've already got September full. So but do you know what? I said this to you before we started recording. This is my most pleasurable day of the month. I just love it. It's joyful. I failed my A levels. I don't know what the equivalent is when you're 18, when you fail to get into university. I didn't get in. I was meant to do journalism and broadcasting. So it only took me the best. Hang on, let me think. If I started this 5 years ago, yeah, I was 46 when I started. So there you go. You get there in the end, Adam. You
You
get
get
there in
there.
the end. We're proof of that. You
What
have been
gets you there won't get you
wonderful.
there. What got you there will not get you there, right? Like what got you there will not get you there. And you got to keep on going and find those unlocks. And there's nothing better
Yeah,
than a good podcast because what it does is it fosters relationships. It
yeah.
opens up opportunities. I mean, I can't eat if I didn't have, I'll be
Mm,
very blunt. I'll leave your audience with this. If I did not have the podcast, my recruitment business would be dead in the water. I would have nothing. I would be on the street 2 years ago.
mm. Wow. Well, there you go. I mean, if
I'm not
that
on the street, but I shouldn't say
blimey.
that, but pretty bad.
No, I
Yeah.
know, but bad. But that's the game changer, and I think that there's so many people that are trying to jump on the bandwagon now. But
Mhm.
it's hard work. There is no quick route to getting this successful. You have to just do it consistently. And you are one that I hope everyone goes to listen to the shows. Drop in, see what sort of guests you can learn from. You're not gonna, I'm not asking you to go and listen to every single episode. I never asked that of mine, to be honest with you.
Yeah, just
Make
mess
sure you
around.
follow Adam. Come and see him when
Thank
he's
you.
at Wreckfest in the UK next year. I might have to dust down the old wellies and get myself down there.
Head down to Nebworth. And listen, guys,
Edward,
I
head
will tell you this.
down.
This year, it's July, I think July 5th or 6th down in
Yeah,
Nebworth. Maybe you've heard a couple concerts there. The Mighty Led Zeppelin,
it's
Pink
very
Floyd,
famous.
and
Mm.
Oasis. The boys are back together.
I know, but I'm not. I'm literally down the road from Prestwich, but I'm not going. But my sister lives down the road, and I might just go and sit in her garden for the night because I'll hear it all for free then.
You,
But
you
that's
can hear
just,
you can hear it clearly.
yeah, that makes me sound like a right schnorrer, doesn't it? Sorry, finishing
What?
a schnorrer. It's a bit of Yiddish.
Oh no, you dropped in
Schnorrer,
some Yiddish on me.
schnorrer.
I know. I've been called a schnorrer plenty of
Yeah,
times. Believe me,
schnorrer. I know I
I
have
love
to
it.
drop a bit of Yiddish in. Lovely, lovely, lovely to see you on here. Thank you so much for joining
Likewise.
us. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.